Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett, your Soccer Talk co-host, alongside my good buddy and pal, Blake Siebers. Siebes, how are you?
Take two, day two.
We hate a take two, don't we?
We do.
But we've been known to definitely have a mulligan forced upon us. So yeah, we're back a couple days after the Substate finals on Wednesday night. For the boys' side, and it was a night full of some drama and some excitement. And I mean, if you were sitting in my house listening to my phone blow up, you would have thought that it was, I don't know what was happening, but Siebers over here was doing some serious investigative journalism.
It was awesome, right? I mean, the game started getting, it was kind of interesting because especially in games through all classes, some started early, some started late, and kind of at the end of the evening, it was cool just going through, seeing scores, getting comments, a couple people we just asked about, and you get phone calls, which we love. So it was a fun, what a night too, right? It was a perfect night for soccer.
Yeah, right on. Well, so what we'll do today, I'm just going to recap the 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A substates. And we've got a little bit of, kind of a talking point for each class, which should be fun. So let's just maybe just jump right in. And then we will, we'll go from there. Let's jump right in, Steve. Let's share that screen.
I will. So this is my failure. So once you allow me to share my screen, I will, I'll share it. So we're going to pull up the brackets. Here's our YouTube plug. Jump onto YouTube, subscribe, and we'll be able to see kind of what we're talking about here. So
right, you're all set there. And, the YouTube plug should also, I forgot to mention, since this is take two, yesterday in take one, the big deal was, this is a twosome today. No threesome, no Titan tactician here to keep us on track. So today it won't be as much tactics, maybe just a little bit more reporting, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess. I love it. We want to get into 1A.
Yeah, let's
Substate 1.
Let's go with the 1A substates.
So our friends over at Western Christian Hole, we've got to know them the last couple of years because they are becoming a perennial power and back again to the state tournament with a 3-2 victory over Unity Christian.
Yeah, right on. And that was sort of an interesting thing with the substates. Especially in the 1A and the 2A, it seems like the selection committee really got it right, and the number one seeds kind of ran through things, didn't they?
Yeah, so we were at the high school, the Boys Association this year went to human voting throughout the year for the top rankings committee. It was humans. I like how they kind of waited a few weeks before they released the first rankings, but like you said, Ben, the 1A committee got it right because of the 6 or of the 8 substates, 6 number 1 seeds go through, and we'll talk soon, but the other 2 were 2 seeds. So pretty good job, I think.
Yeah, right on. So you see the West Sioux, I'm assuming from Sioux City area, comes through that Northwest bracket in substate 2. We haven't seen West Sioux before, so that'll be interesting. We have seen Hudson and North Fayette Valley. Those will be those squads getting back into it. Hudson beating the 1 seed Gladbrook Rhinebeck. Sorry, that's a tricky one for me apparently. And they were a good squad that we saw in the past, that Gladbrook Rhinebeck team.
Grundy Center, right? Remember it was GC.
That's right.
Or GRGC, Gladbrook Rhinebeck Grundy Center.
It's a mouthful.
Good coaches over there though too. They were in the state tournament last year. You can move to 1A Substate 4, North Fayette Valley. Knocks off Postville again, another number 1 seed, winning 2-1 there. West Liberty, kind of power, right? 1A power. They beat Tipton 1-0. Again, another number 1 seed. And then Old West Branch, which is just west of Branch, Iowa. Again, another number 1 seed. They really do walk through substate number 6.
Yep. And then that 7th substate, we got Regina Catholic. And then the big upset, or at least for us, our friends out in Van Meter with their first state tournament berth in program history. The program's maybe 4 years old now.
4 years old. Yeah. I talked to their assistant coach, who was kind of a fill-in head coach, Pat Waldron. He got himself a little bit of trouble last year, if you remember, at the end of the season.
Be a naughty boy, that Pat.
And then he filled in for his son for a few games when Jonah's wife had a baby, and he was 3-2. So kept the grip together, but not so much. And Jonah comes back, gets the reins back from his dad, and they do. That's pretty cool. They make the first ever state tournament. They got the father son coaching assistant head coach there, and not very often the dad is the assistant, right? Most of the time,
no, it's generally the other way around. Yeah, Subacam about that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So interesting too. Just before we move on, Substate 8 Trainer was the 1 seed, and they got knocked off by West Central Valley, who then got knocked off by Van Meter. So just interesting sometimes how that all shakes out.
Yeah, because Trainer smacked Van Meter earlier this year 5-1. So Van Meter was a little they were, I think, a little relieved not to have to face.
Well, I'd be curious if there's more to that semifinal game that ended the Trainer West Central Valley game, because we know that was a weird night for weather and some of that kind of stuff. So that's a great little segue into the next one. Actually, not the next one. We'll save that for later. Let's talk 2A real quick.
Again, not surprising. Sioux City, Bishop Heelan gets through. Again, that kind of northwest region. And then our friends, we kind of go on a little mini pitch run here, starting with
we sure do
Webster City. Friends over there, right? They've got, like I said, they got a mini pitch, soccer town, and they smack around Clear Lake 4-0 to get through Substate number 2. And then Hampton Dumont, right? Like another mini pitch in the semifinal.
I was going to say,
we didn't even talk about them in take one,
no,
Ben.
We didn't even, well, I don't know that we noticed it, to be fair, because Webster City just kind of running through it there. But yeah, I mean, it's if you go back there to the main screen, it's a little tour to mini pitches here. Well, in a lot of sense, you've got, well, now, and then what did we learn yesterday? Center Point Urbana comes through in Substate 3.
As a 2 seed. So again, we kind of talked about the 1A.
We decided that was Northern Iowa, correct?
Well, Appleton Parkersburg is northern, but Solon is over by Iowa City.
Okay, fair
and
enough.
West Delaware is just west of Delaware. So New Hampton is just outside of Old Hampton too. So I don't know.
That's fair. Not only do we have our weatherman here, but our geographer, cartographer.
Yeah. Then again, you get back into the 1 seeds. You know, we get a lot of 1 seeds get through in 2A. Kind of the same thing. 6 1 seeds. Decorah.
I don't know that we've seen Decorah at the state soccer tournament in a while or ever. I'm guessing we see old state auditor Rob Sand there, big Decorah guy.
Brown alum. Maybe you guys will have a little powwow.
And then, so then you move on. Assumption getting through as the 2 seed. And we were joking yesterday, like Assumption, like they should always be a 1 seed because they're just that type of team that tends to churn out good squads. But maybe they had a different year. And, you know, to be fair to the human ranking system that we had this year, it's been pretty accurate. So really no complaints. Gilbert, 16-0 this year, I believe. They've played a pretty heavy 4A schedule as well. So, you know, they've played a lot of different teams and had a lot of success. So I would expect them to be a really difficult. And last year they were in the final, but ended up losing, correct?
No,
they won. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
oh, no, I'm sorry.
BJ Jordan. There's a little plug for, again, another YouTube. Go back to our pods. We talked to Beat Doctor.
That's right,
BJ.
Dr. Jorson.
Yep.
My bad there. My little space cadet moment. Gilbert, also a mini, you know, home to a mini pitch there on the north side of Ames. Close, you know, north side of Ames is getting one. So,
unfortunately, the old Oskaloosa Indians lost to Knoxville.
But early on.
Again, another mini pitch over there in Oski. So you get into Substate 7.
Yeah, we'll be excited to see Perry there. I'm guessing the whole community is out for that one. You know, and obviously we'll be watching that squad closely as a Central Iowa team. And obviously they've been through a lot. So I'm sure for the community, it means a lot for them to all come together.
Yep. And then go finally to old Kirk Artistes, native Glenwood Rams. Kind of, again, you know, like easily get through Substate 8, bring a little Western Iowa flair
Yeah.
to Des Moines.
I wonder if Kirk ever went to the state tournament at Glenwood outside of the wrestling ring. Well,
That's a good question.
let's get to the drama in 3A.
All right.
This was our biggest, heaviest mini pitch class. I would
start
say.
with it right off the top, Ben.
Okay.
Class 3A Substate number 1. Fill us in.
Well, okay. Let's start here. First of all, Storm Lake, the 3 seed, wins the group. So interestingly enough, the semifinal, the 1 seed Spencer, who was I think 12-1 at the time, played against Lamar's. Lamar's had won their playing game. I'm going backwards here a little bit. Sorry. So Lamar's won their playing game. It was their program's first ever sub-state or playoff victory of the program. So they're pretty jacked up. They were calling themselves a Cinderella team. They went into play at Spencer. They were up 2-0 at half. Spencer scores early in the second half. 50 minutes or so of the game had passed, and then they went to a severe weather delay. So they'd originally started the game early at 6 o'clock to try and squeeze it in, and were unable to get it in before the weather came. So basically the negotiation, as I understand it, went something like, we could be sure that the storm will be passed by about 11:15. So we'll restart then or kick off then. And it sounds like Lamar's was not interested in that. And the rule is, I believe, once the second half has begun, the game is considered, could be considered complete in the event of a weather delay. And so, anyway, Spencer ends up getting knocked out by Lamar's and does not have a chance to finish the game, and also doesn't have a chance to make it up. Which I don't know. From our standpoint, I don't think we're really not commenting on. I don't know, either side of the story there, other than it just seems like something that hopefully we would have a better solution for, other than to just sort of let the game finish. And we saw it with the Gulf State tournament as well, right? So
Lars wanted to get back and get some ice cream. Ice cream capital of the world.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, it's one of those things, like the concern becomes as if somebody knows that that's the case, that the game is over after 50 minutes, as they take advantage of that rule. That being said, you could also make the argument that a 1 seed like that probably shouldn't go down 2-0 in the first half. So, I don't know, there's all sorts of stuff to it. But I think really it just becomes it's point of discussion. We'd love to learn more about it. We only know a little bit from what we've seen here and there. And
if it's true, if it's true, they got in weather delay and they get on the bus and get out of town. You're a heavy underdog.
For sure.
I hate to say it, but that's probably what you do. You get it out of town as quick as possible, turn your cell phone off, and just be like, sorry, the game is official.
Yeah. Well, either way too, right? The other version is they kick off again at 11:15. They finish the game around midnight. Lamar's hops on the bus and gets home probably 1:30 in the morning. Then they've got class the next day. And then to push it to the next day, you've got 2 teams that have to travel an hour.
Referees, busing.
Yeah, there's so much to it. So it's just. I wonder if there's a better solution, knowing that we live in Iowa and spring weather is unpredictable, right, weatherman?
As you can tell over the last few days, unfortunately, yes.
Indeed. Storm Lake, though, home of a beautiful mini pitch at Chautauqua Park. They're right on the lake. Doesn't surprise me. They've probably been out there honing their skills. So, yeah, I guess maybe the message here is if you want to make it to the state tournament, you ought to get yourself a mini pitch.
That's what it sounds like.
So Xavier running through Class 3A Substate number 2 with a couple 4-0 victories. They beat Cedar Rapids Washington in the final. Xavier,
not Cedar Rapids, just regular.
Oh, just regular Washington.
Yeah.
Is there are 2 Washingtons?
Yeah.
Well, look, you learn something new every day.
We're gonna get to
You learn something new I do now. But, okay. So sorry.
Washington's down over there in by Louisa County.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, apologies to Washington.
We need to get your Iowa geography, a native Iowan. You need to get tuned up on that.
All right, my fault. Yes, I would happily take a lesson. Anyway, so Xavier, we'd mentioned yesterday it would be interesting to meet the new coach because they've been a long time Amir Hajic. Yeah, Hajic. they've been following him as a great coach who was inducted in the Hall of Fame this last year and stepped down as the head coach. So it'll be fun to just meet the new guy. And it's doesn't surprise me to see Xavier back in the state tournament. Also doesn't surprise me to see Substate 3 Marion. They've just sort of become a bit of a regular home to Drake standout Jackson Kirsch. It'll be interesting to see if he comes out to watch his guys play.
Home to the Hannah Park mini pitch.
Indeed.
Broken record, we sound like.
We do. Okay, so Substate 4, this is where Cedar Rapids, Washington comes through, correct? It is. So
Yeah.
Cedar Rapids, Washington, the 2 seed, upsets ADM. And interesting, ADM had been rolling all year. They won their semifinal game 5-0 and then turn around and lose 4-0 to Cedar Rapids, Washington. So old Tom Horton up there will probably be disappointed to have lost that game. They probably wanted to get down to county. And
that's why it's something I'd be curious. Something we've tried to figure it out. Something happened there because they didn't just lose; they got battered. And Cedar Rapids, Washington played a decently heavy 4A schedule too. But like you said, they make a trip down to county.
Yep. Then this bottom half of the Substate brackets, all Central Iowa squads. Dow Center Grimes keeps their winning ways. They are going to be a really tough team to beat. I think they won 9-1 against Winterset in their semifinal and then beat Newton 7-0. Newton home to a mini pitch as well, or soon to be home to a mini pitch. Had a great season, ended up beating Pella 3-2. Pella also home of a mini pitch. To get to that Substate final and that group there, coached by Zach Jensen and Brett Lumberg, definitely be disappointed to bow out the way they do, but definitely should be proud of their squad. And they've been doing some really cool things out there in Newton. Dow Center Grimes, though, Colin Lane, he's got his boys moving, right?
Yeah, clearly. I think they're all healthy now.
You had a nice little chat with him. What did you hear from Colin?
Yeah, you don't want to release all his secrets, but I think the biggest one is they're fully healthy. And as you can see, they are on a tear. And, they think they had a disappointing end of their season last year at county, but clearly they're buzzing to be back and trying to mimic the girls, girls Dallas Center Grimes squad.
That's right, who also qualified last night. So then Norwalk, I don't know, like we were talking about this in take one, a bit of a down year from them as far as a record, right? They were 11-8, or they're 11-8 currently. So overall, like when you look at it, you're going, like at one point I think they were close to 500, but they were still one of the top seeded teams in 3A because they play such a heavy 4A schedule, and they had some really good results on the year, I believe, right?
Yeah, and weird, right? Again, they're at state. Like Collick's clearly got it sorted. He's been there forever. They continue to go to state year after year, but I think
the real surprise is on the south end of this bracket, or the bottom half of the bracket. The bottom half of the bracket. In the semifinal, Carlisle and Iowa City Liberty. Carlisle won 5-4, but that doesn't tell the whole story, does it?
It doesn't. So Eric Birkenholtz, he's again good friend of the pod. He's had a good little last few years. And
Carlisle definitely a program on the rise.
Yeah, and so you would think like, hey, 5-4. All right, clearly, what a crazy game. I think.
Definitely was crazy.
Yeah, Carlisle was up maybe 3-1.
Yep, and then 4-2. And Iowa City Liberty storms back.
Or is it the other way around?
It's one way or the other. Either way, it was a back and forth game. Tied up, goes into overtime, looking like penalties. Iowa City Liberty player who is filling in for an injured player, so like not their normal striker or whatever. In on goal with a player on his back. They sort of, we've seen the video of it. They sort of incidentally come together as the goalkeeper makes a save. And so from what we can see, it just sort of looks like an innocuous, like coming together, and that's that. But turns out that player was on a yellow card. The Iowa City Liberty player, the attacker, was on a yellow card and ended up receiving a second yellow card to equal a red card, which was the fourth red card for Iowa City Liberty, which if you've been following the pod, 4 red cards equals a termination of the season, correct?
Correct.
So, just one of those things that's like unfortunate that's how it's come about. And we've just been talking about how that rule's probably got to change at some point. Because it happened down in Clark County as well. Their season was suspended earlier in the year for four red cards. And so, again, our understanding, and somebody can correct us, but our understanding is that the reasoning for the 4 red card rule stems from violent conduct, or trying to avoid violent conduct and trying to avoid brawls on the field. And so if you were to get a bunch of red cards all at once, that would, end your season. And we were just talking like, is there a good solution to this?
Yeah. One, it was never a foul.
Yeah. I don't
let
know
alone a yellow card, let alone a second. So I think like none of the, again, you know how a lot of times people ask for cards now, and Carlisle didn't do it at all. Like none of their players asked for a foul or anything.
No, but it also did seem like they must have known that Iowa City Liberty was on that 3rd red card, or about to be on that 4th red card, because after the yellow card was given to turn into a red card, Carlisle celebrated, knowing that they were going to the Substate final.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then, so what's I think you said it in take 1, Ben, best. What's
I don't think it's that shocking of an idea. It's just maybe you value yellow cards and red cards a little differently. So a double yellow is maybe not the same as a straight red. Because a lot of times a double yellow is like a ticky-tacky foul there. And then maybe it's like you swear at the referee, or you talk back to the referee or something.
Tactical foul.
Yeah, it could be all sorts of stuff. But a red card is generally reserved for like a violent misconduct, a terrible tackle from behind, denying a goal scoring opportunity, or saying something, vulgar or obscene, not saying, "Hey, what the heck, ref?" More aggressive than that. Right. So, I think, maybe it's the kind of thing, I think what we talked about yesterday is maybe it's like 4 straight reds. It results in the end of your season. And maybe it's like 10 double yellows or 5 double yellows or something like that. Maybe a little bit more of a threshold. Because then the other interesting thing, and then this isn't even really a comment on the rule as much as it's just so different than the girls game, right? The girls don't have that rule, and it really boils down to like the 2 different associations, which I don't know if I'm ever going to fully understand that, because I really wish that they would find a way to come together and work together and be, kind of governed similarly. But I'm sure there's more to that as well. So what do you think, Blake? Does that cover it well?
I think that's like you said it best. Get rid of this archaic rule. It's really meant back in the day when non-soccer players were playing. Like you said, there would be bench clearing brawls because it's a bunch of football meatheads not playing, looking for something to do in the spring. And that rule hasn't changed or evolved. So fair enough. I think 4 straight reds ends your season. I think that would be a 100% fair compromise to start. See how it goes over the next couple of years, and then again look at making soccer even.
Well, and so then if you're questioning that sort of thought process, go on, I think it's on YouTube or Twitter, and you can go to, I don't know if it's Iowa City Liberty's page or Coach Harding's page or how he's got it posted, but I'm sure if you use your sleuthing skills, you can find it. But he put together a little video of all their yellow cards that resulted in red cards this year. And a couple of them are preventable for sure. But some of them don't seem fair. I mean, it's just one of those, like, if you watch it, it's very subjective, right? I think that's probably as simple as it is. So
there you go. Yep.
Subjective is the term, and I think we just would like to firm that one up. So let's not beat the dead horse. Let's just keep going on our mini pitch tour and stop off at Des Moines Hoover, who has proven to be, now they're a 3A school, seem to be a powerhouse.
Yeah, Rubino's got them sorted out. I mean, again, I bet you they're very quick, very athletic. They played at MediaCom Stadium, so I think they got a combination of one, technical enough on the mini pitch behind the school.
That's right.
Then they get to the massive field at MediaCom,
and they can fly.
Yeah, they can. And so it becomes, I'd be a little bit curious because they are the 1 seed. They play at County for the 1 seed. They play
for that first game.
Yeah, it's at the Drake Stadium field, right? And it's usually it is, at least it's a little more narrow. I'd be curious how that's going to, because if they win, then they get to MediaCom. They're back on that massive field that helps and plays to their strengths. But like you said, Rubino's got them sorted out.
Well, and that's definitely going to be a talking point for the rest of the season, right? Is the difference between County, Mediacom, and Drake for the boys is because it's just 3 different surfaces, 3 different types of field. You got all sorts of stuff going on there. So in that last Substate 8, little history being made by our boy Heath Weeks down at Indianola.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk Cinderella story?
I know.
I mean, I would hate to. I like Heath, and we have some Indianola connections.
There's no way that when we were looking at these brackets initially, though, thinking that Indianola is going through, right?
Yeah, I think 6-13 might be the worst record in the history of any state qualifying
That's
team.
awesome. I love that.
But again,
they play a super heavy 4A schedule.
Yep, and like you said, we went to their first game, talked about some points against Southeast Polk, and clearly he listened to the pod and put those into place.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
But then the other little talking point here, because again, we don't know the details, but Lewis Central, the number 1 seed in the Substate, lost to number 4 seed Sioux City West 2-1, and Lewis Central has been, I mean, like a really, really good squad. And I think they were undefeated going into the game. So maybe there's more to it. Would love to know, but unless somebody tells us, we won't. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, they need to get on the mini pitch again. Another mini pitch in Council Bluffs.
That's right, and Sioux City for that matter. I mean, geez Louise, so many.
Yeah, so let's get to the big dogs, defending champs of 4A Johnston. Even though they play all their games on the road, even though their coach is suspended for the Substate,
sanctions from President Snow,
they kind of just walk through through the Substate, go up to Sioux City, and beat Sioux City East 6-2, and have some injuries. It'll be interesting to see how they do, because they got a couple boys that have been out, and they got a couple guys coming back. And anything else you want to comment there, Benny?
Roll Drags.
Okay. Substate 2, Northwest Carlos beats Sioux City North. Again, another mini pitch. People are going to get tired of that. But go to play Southeast Polk. I mean,
mini
2
pitch.
seed.
Pleasant Hill,
yep. Mini pitch. They go up against Des Moines North, which has a mini pitch at Harding Middle School, which is one of their feeder middle schools.
Yep.
But I mean, good for Lucy and the Southeast Polk boys to get there. I think I've been pretty critical of the program now that I am a resident, but it's obviously clearly a good step to get to a Substate semifinal or a final, and hopefully get a little momentum.
Yeah, Lucy will be pleased with the first half of the season, less pleased with the second half of the season. I'm really excited to see Joaquin Northwest at the state tournament. We've heard conflicting reports from a few different folks, really just describing high school kids, right? Basically saying I've seen them be really good and they're maybe the best team in the state, versus I've heard, other people who are like, well, we'll see, like, a decent team, but I don't expect them to win. So I don't know, a little poster board material for you there, Carlos. Dowling coming out of Substate 3. I mean, big injury with Jonathan Mendez out, because, he was probably last year one of the top players in the state, and this year one of the top players in the state as a junior. Out with a torn ACL earlier in the year, but Dowling does not seem to be slowing down or deterred at all, do they?
No, you've obviously watched them play a lot on your when you fill in for the radio. But I think the big talking point here, Ames hits the post in the first 10 minutes. Who knows what that does, right? But to the game. But again, like Benny, they are teaming. Carl's got them in the back sorted out. Remember last year we talked like they had to get that sorted out. He clearly took notes and has paid attention and has done a great job with the backs. Yeah,
the thing I think about Dowling and I would expect that Joaquin Northwest is similar to this, but they have the ability to essentially manufacture chances because they play good attacking stuff and they get the ball wide and they get the ball in behind and they play well in that area of the field. And they've got Henry Abarca pulling the strings. So I don't know, look for them to be a tough team in the state tournament. No surprise to see Iowa City West come out on top of the Substate number 4.
Yeah, I think the only talking point, a couple things, right? Like they beat the old Rothert ball 4-2, and he had Sheffy and Styles, it sounds like, on their toes. Couldn't close the game out, but City West did not have a very impressive opening round game.
No, but then the turnaround and win the final 6-0.
Hempstead, who people said were kind of a little sneaky good team. So he clearly did something. Styles did something midweek to get that turned around.
Well, I'm guessing it was the hairdryer treatment. Well, Coach Styles definitely knows how to get the best out of his team. So they're going to be one of those teams that like you would not be surprised if they're playing on Saturday night at MediaCom.
True that.
True that.
Here's a little.
We called this though, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, I mean, again, we talked earlier about the seating committee picking, seating it for the most part pretty good. Again, so 6 number ones and 4A, 2 non number ones, and this is one of them, Ben.
That's right. Our so we had a Bettendorf Pleasant Valley final, which is awesome, right? Because I mean that's like their neighboring communities. Bettendorf, the 1 seed, had won 7-1 against Davenport Central. Pleasant Valley had beaten Muscatine 5-0.
Mini pitch.
So then you've got Pleasant Valley, Wayne Ward, surprisingly winning 1-0, right? I mean, and I'd say that very sarcastically because Wayne Ward seems to he loves a one-off game, doesn't he? He seems to be a little bit of a master of that. He's 2-time state champion in the past 3 years. And they're a tough team to play against when they've got everybody on the same page. And so, when you look at that game, or at least when I looked at that game, Bettendorf against Pleasant Valley, I'm thinking, well, Wayne's he's gonna try to put some sort of scheme together to shut this thing down.
Yeah, right. I mean, they scored, I think, halfway through the first half, that 20-minute mark. And unfortunately, I mean, we've seen it before. You go behind, Pleasant Valley's not going to give up a goal when it counts. Remember 3-1-0 victories a couple years ago?
Yeah.
And Bettendorf's I
think it was 2 times in a row. I think both years they went 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. So Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong there. But anyway, they're going to be, I think they're one of those sort of dark horse teams where they've got some experience. There has to be at least 1 or 2 players that were part of those state championship teams, still part of the squad. So
here's a little bit of drama. Again, unless you know what's going on, you just look at the paper and you see Ankeny beating Linn-Mar 2-1. Decent game. Well, little do you know, shootout, and Ankeny scores in the very last few minutes, late in the game. I think less than a minute to go, actually. Obviously has momentum, can't produce anything in extra time, and then their goalkeeper makes a big save in the shootout, and they win the game.
Trevor Fuccio, first-year coach up there for the Hawks. He's got a little experience on the bench with him, helping him out with Marcus Varnum there. Marcus the King.
That's got to be a little bit of a talking point too, right? With the boy leaves, and all of a sudden they pull him back in.
Yeah, but also, did he make the state tournament last year, Coach Varnum?
No, that's why he left.
That's what I'm saying. And Trevor's got it all figured out. But definitely cool. Trevor being, I mean, he couldn't be 26 or 27. Maybe I'm just aging myself, but he's a young guy, just recently out of school. So fun to see him having success in his first season.
Yeah. So then we go to Substate 7, which I think talking to people, they said this was kind of the most wide open Substate. It goes back to Substates when they get decided a little bit, right? Because the final rankings, Roosevelt came out ranked 9th, but they were top 8 seed. So they beat Ottumwa, who's I thought again full of mini pitches actually, but and obviously DMPS has a bunch too.
Roosevelt's got one.
That's right. Merrill Middle School. So they beat Ottumwa. City High, Jose Fajardo, most accomplished. We talked briefly about this. Most accomplished high school coach, probably
as a player for sure, right?
Yeah, in the history of Iowa high school soccer, I think.
Yeah, and they beat Ankeny Centennial there in their semifinal game to play, and eventually go play against Roosevelt and beat Roosevelt in the final. Ankeny Centennial with a down season this year will be interesting to see how they bounce back in the future. Roosevelt getting all the way to the cusp. Bummer that we didn't see another Metro team at the state tournament.
Yeah, Iowa City High actually I was swung by there on the way home, and it was at MediaCom. Dr. Ian Roberts, DMPS superintendent, was there, which was kind of cool to see. And then, Roosevelt Ephraim, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, scored a good little goal in the first half. City High comes back and
You're a
levels.
fan of him. You liked him as a player.
I did. I
right?
liked him. I think he could have been even more threatening. Whenever he got the ball running at players, he got past 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, and it was every single time.
Yeah.
He just didn't. Unfortunately, I don't think they used him in the right way enough. But City High scores like mishit. He hits it properly. The goalkeeper saves it, I think, but he mishits it kind of moment, bloops in.
The off speed pitch.
Yeah, that's a great terminology there for
Will happen.
baseball.
All right. Well, Substate 8, my Tigers rolling through that. They're on a bit of a tear right now, aren't they, Blake?
14, 15,
yeah, something
16
like that.
in a row.
Something like that. Yeah, so Valley beating East 5-1, or sorry, 8-1 there in the Substate semifinal, and then Urbandale beating Waterloo West 7-0 in their semifinal, setting up a classic Valley Urbandale Substate final. Valley winning 3-2.
You would have thought this was like year 2000 or 2000.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
So I mean,
back
exactly. I played that game a few times. And so Valley apparently scored 3 in the first half, and then maybe took their foot off the gas a little bit, let Urbandale back in the game, were able to hold on to it. So, Valley is one of those teams that'll be interesting to see how they do next week. They play a very direct style. They've got Preston Kidipsu firing on all cylinders, though. He scored 36 some odd goals, something like that. Great commit, total handful, right? But they bypass their midfield a lot, so they're going to be playing against teams that don't do that. It'll be interesting to see how they match up. Little contrasting styles, or maybe we'll see. Maybe Jonathan Mendez and the crew Pablo Mendez and the crew will get on the ball a little more. So we'll see if that listens to the pod.
Look forward to.
All right. Well, so that kind of brings us full circle there. We've got a really tasty lineup of games next week, don't we?
We do. Looking forward to it. Sounds like we'll talk state tournament preview for the boys and girls next time.
Yep.
What else, Ben? Are we?
No, I think we're just kind of leaving it here. Hopefully you enjoyed the chat. If there's more information out there that we're missing on some of this, please don't hesitate to slide into the DMs or reach out to us on the website. Website's www.kifsoccer.com. Facebook and Instagram at KIFsoccer. Twitter/X. What are we there? We're at KIF_soccer. So, that's what's up. Enjoy the beautiful weather this weekend. And we will see you next week at the state tournament. Come say what's up. But listen to the preview first.